few weeks ago I purchased a cheap salvaged Veloster end from Copart, which I'm planning on turning into a weekend truck car. But first we need to fix it and get it back on the road.
What's poppin'? Brand new whip, just hopped in. I got options, I can pass that bitch like Stockton.
The cheap 2020 Veloster end that I just purchased came with salvage title, and I wondered why, because damages did not look that bad and I didn't think it would be very expensive to fix. All it needs is passenger side suspension, fender, bumper and headlights. I thought there would be nothing too complicated, but there was a big issue, which I'll explain to you later on. First, I decided to start with the easy job of removing the damaged fender, which wasn't too difficult because most of the hardware was missing. Next thing I did was getting the specs of the wheels so I can order a new one to replace the damaged one. If you guys don't know how Koenig wheels look from the inside, there it is. Actually, I'm really happy because this was inside the car and I don't have to run to AutoZone to buy it, so I can take out the wheels. And once I removed the wheel, I was able to take a better look and see what's going on. Yeah, it looks like most of the suspension here has to be replaced. Here doesn't look too good. So yeah, my buddy Grigor is gonna come over and take a look because he has dealt with more suspension work than me. And he can see more and tell me what to order and what not. So yeah, we'll see when he comes over. After a few minutes of looking at the damaged suspension, we were able to find the parts that had to be replaced. I'm going to need a new adaptive shock, new axle and new inner tie rod. It sounds like a fairly easy job, but here comes the issue. Hyundai does not service the steering rack. That means I am not able to purchase the inner tie rod from the manufacturer. I have to replace the whole steering rack that costs $4,000. And while I was going through forums and reading about the inner tie rod, trying to find a cheaper solution, I ordered a new Koenig wheel. I've paid $190 for it. I went to Discount Tire hoping I can use the old tire, but I had no luck. Tire was also damaged, so I had to order a new one. I found few very good deals on used Veloster end parts online. You can save quite a bit of money if you buy from eBay or Marketplace. There is so many people out there selling factory parts with low miles because they're installing aftermarket mods. I have been a part of Volkswagen and B58 communities for a while now, but I was really impressed with the Veloster end community. Everyone was willing to help. Big shout out to Robert who helped me find the parts and personally went to pick them up, which he also shipped to my state. If anyone needs any help with their Veloster end, hit him up. Robert was able to find a new inner tie rod. And as you guys already know, Hyundai does not sell that part, and if your inner tie rod is bad, you need to replace the whole steering rack. That's $4,000. I've paid $100 for the inner tie rod, and hopefully this fixes the issue and I don't have to spend another $4,000.
2 weeks later.
And once I was able to find all the parts that were needed for the suspension, it was time for action. First thing we did after we removed the wheel was to spray some WD-40 on all the nuts and bolts. While we let the WD-40 sit for a few minutes, we unplugged all the sensors. We started by removing the strut bar. It isn't a difficult job to do, but having a buddy that can help makes it so much easier. And luckily, my friend Grigor had more knowledge about suspension work than me. Everything was pretty straightforward. Removing the steering knuckle, then control arm. It's very similar engineering to my old GTI. Then it was time to remove the inner tie rod. Most important part is to have the right tools, which of course I didn't, and I had to run to the nearest store. I rented the inner tie rod removal tool, and after an hour of trying to remove the inner tie rod, we had no luck. There was something wrong with that tool, so I had to run to the store for a second time and grab this one. And it worked right away. We were able to remove the damaged inner tie rod and compare it with a new one. Later on I found out that you can replace the inner tie rod with a new one from a newer Elantra. I'll leave the link in bio. I got a good deal on a used much newer axle, and we are going to swap it because the old one looked pretty rough. And because there is no OEM replacement for the inner tie rod boot, we had to be extremely careful with it so we don't damage it. All we had left to do is to install the spring on the new strut and put everything back together. We're not professional mechanics, but we got it done in one day. and it probably saved me thousands of dollars in labor. One final look just to make sure everything looks good before we install the wheel back on. And that's it, job is done. Now we hope everything works well. The main mechanic. It definitely looks a lot better than before. We drove the car around the block for a few minutes so the suspension can settle in. We definitely need an alignment, but for now everything else looks good. And of course, after we made sure the car is safe to drive and we're not going to die, we did our first pulls and we were so impressed. There is lots of parts still missing, but at least now I can move the car back and forth the driveway. But yeah, make sure you comment and let me know what you think. And subscribe because we have lots of work to do with this Veloster and track build. I hope you guys liked the video. Peace.